The reporter didn't get to finish his question, but he didn't need to because Angel Ree answered it in just 2 words. She talked about the current state of the WNBA and its relationship with Caitlin Clark. That relationship has just taken a big turn. Let me explain. Caitlin Clark's effect on the WNBA has been undeniable. Millions of new fans, sold-out arenas, and record-breaking viewership. But what's also undeniable is that the league missed a golden opportunity. Instead of embracing the Caitlin Clark effect, many within the league pushed back, questioned the hype, played down her effect, and worst of all, they made fun of her fans. To someone watching from the outside, the Caitlin Clark effect was a threat, not a gift. But the WNBA finally got a star last year, bless their hearts, and they didn't know that they couldn't figure it out. Well, we don't want to put too much Caitlin Clark on. Nope, every game, more Caitlin Clark all the time, always. Caitlin Clark is easily the most influential athlete in a team sport since Michael Jordan. The success, the mainstream breakthrough, the headlines, the hype, the packed arenas, it was everything the WNBA had dreamed of for decades. Breakthrough, respectable salaries, and global attention, but Caitlin Clark led the way. For many WNBA players, this wasn't a celebration, it was a funeral, because for some of them, Caitlin being the one wasn't just a plot twist, it was the death of a dream. The dream that they would be the ones to elevate the league as a whole. It may have been the hardest thing to accept, that fans did show up, but they only showed up for Caitlin. There are different levels to this thing, and that's just life. Yes, Deanna, there are, like with a death, it's been sad, ugly, and a bad look for the WNBA, but now there's been a shift. A moment that would have been nothing special ended up changing everything, and now the WNBA knows what's coming next, and they're scrambling to get on the right side of history. Let's talk about what happened, but first, please like this video if you're ready to see the WNBA cave to Caitlin, and don't forget to subscribe. Of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that by this point last season, Caitlin Clark was already living rent-free in the minds of half the WNBA. She hadn't just arrived, she detonated. Tripled viewership, sold-out NBA arenas, jersey sales through the roof. Every Fever game became a must-see event with fans lining up for hours and scalpers charging playoff prices for regular season tickets. Now, if we say her stats are today, 20 points, 4 passes and 6 rebounds, that's crazy. People were jealous of Caitlin Clark even before she wore professional shoes. There was a lot of buzz about her. Nothing less than generational. She had just broken the NCAA's all-time scoring record for both women's and men's teams, sold out every arena she touched, and dropped logo threes like they were layups. Then came the WNBA draft. No suspense, no surprises, just a coronation. She was the clear #1 pick, but more than that, she was the moment the camera flashed, the press lined up, and sponsors lined up. And that's when things got weird. The league had seen great players before, Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, and Breonna Stewart, but none of them came in with this much hype. For some, that hurt. The first stage of grief denial. It wasn't just doubt, it was outright resistance from the old guard players, the media, and even executives. You could see the cracks before she even hit the court. Caitlin's coming. There's more than just that. What will the league have in store for them when they get there? Is VP reality is coming. If Caitlin had just come in and failed, or even just been average, the old guard would have had their "I told you so" moment. College is college. The WNBA is a different animal. You don't just waltz in and beat the women who started this league. The public attention would have gone elsewhere, and the old guard would have been righted, but that's not what happened. Her first game brought in 1 million viewers, making it the most watched WNBA game in more than 20 years. Every time she played, the ratings went through the roof, sellout crowds gathered, and jerseys flew off the shelves. She wasn't just capturing the moment, she was owning it, and that's when we saw in stage 2, anger voting. Last season, Clark beat 3 Sky players. Coming over, here's Clark for 29 points. Gets tripped. It was clear that Caitlin's behavior wasn't going to stop no matter how many people laughed or criticized her in the media. The next step was to fix the damage. which didn't happen on the court. The league, whether they knew it or not, started pushing back between the lines. Players took advantage of hard screens, off-ball hits, and unnecessary contact. What did the refs do? They pocketed their whistles. It became a pattern. Let her get hit, let her get frustrated, let her wonder if she belonged. If the hype wouldn't go away on its own, they tried to put an end to it physically, and you could see it in the game. She was physically and mentally worn out after each game. She didn't cry or give up. She got stronger. She came back after the Olympics and played the best basketball of her life, leading the Fever to wins, breaking the assist record, and being named a first-team All-Star. Once she proved the hype was real, we moved on to stage 3, bargaining. This is where people try to make sense of their new reality. They negotiate with themselves and others to try to explain it all in a way that lets them hold on to what they lost: status, pride, and control. Many players lost their egos when Caitlin Clark came in and took the league by storm. Suddenly, the spotlight wasn't on the veterans, it was on her. So what did they do? They changed the story. That's just how the media covers race. Last night, we read that Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year by Time magazine. Why couldn't he have put the whole WNBA on that cover? One thing I can't deny is the number of little girls who came to cheer her on with their parents. Oh, and the excitement and passion, but she was a white girl from the middle of... America knew they shouldn't go after Caitlin directly because it would backfire, so they went after everything around her. They attacked the fans and blamed the media, saying that Caitlin wasn't the problem, but everyone else was. They said that her fans weren't real WNBA fans, and that if you liked Caitlin Clark, it was because of her skin color. It didn't matter that she was leading the league in assists as a rookie, or that she was bringing in record-breaking crowds and putting more eyes on the game than ever before. That didn't matter because the story wasn't true. While Caitlin is great, and I think she'll have a great career in the WNBA, there were women who deserved to be covered before she did, and I will not be silenced when it comes to that. It's the classic propaganda playbook. Tell a lie over and over again until people stop questioning it. Now, some people in the basketball world think Caitlin Clark isn't talented. They're just lucky. But if they thought this story would make the Caitlin Clark effect fade, they were wrong. Veterans started lining up to defend her. No one was desperate for a job or just happy to be on a team. These were experienced champions like Dana Bonner, Natasha Howard, Sydney Colson, and others. They all wanted to play in Indy, not just because of the team or the coach, but because of Caitlin Clark. Not long ago, media voices like Cheryl Swoop said that no one wanted to go to Indiana. Deanna Taurasi even brought up the old rumors recently, but that story fell apart. Now, Indy isn't just a destination, it's the destination. And the floodgates open for the first time. WNBA games will be played in the United Center for the first time ever. The Chicago Sky will host the Indiana Fever at the UC on June 7th and July 27th. First, the arena upgrades. Games were moved just for her, not for league parity, not for playoff implications, not for all-stars. Teams that usually played in smaller gyms were suddenly booking NBA arenas because they had to, if Caitlin Clark was coming to town, you had to have more seats. Next, the broadcast schedule. Out of the Indiana Fever's 44 regular season games, 41 will be shown nationally. That's not just for visibility. The networks weren't hedging their bets. They were putting all their chips on one player, betting that the Caitlin Clark show was worth the top spot in primetime almost every night. Then there were the preseason games. One of them, an exhibition game, sold out a 15,000-seat arena. It was preseason, so there were no standings or playoff implications, just Caitlin. And fans paid hundreds of dollars to see her warm up. The average ticket price was reported to be $650.00, which is almost $9.00. $75 million for a WNBA exhibition game at that time, the Caitlin Clark. There was an effect that couldn't be ignored. It wasn't hype or marketing spin, it was next-level math, money, and momentum. For many players, reality hit in a different way. Their own teams weren't building around them. They were banking on Caitlin's visit. Promoters knew it, sponsors knew it, and fans definitely knew it. Somewhere between the sold-out arenas, the marketing blitz, and the change in league energy, acceptance began to set in, and players began to ask, have we ever had teams have to play in bigger arenas to play. If there are more people watching the game, and Caitlin Clark brings that up, why should we feel bad because she has more TV games? I think we need to realize that when one player eats, we all eat, and as we all get more chances, it just opens it up for everyone else. Caitlin, it was a problem. I just think about my rookie year and how I came into the league. It was such a crazy transition for me to understand what it's like to play at the professional level. It's like this girl coming in as a rookie and going, like she broke the record for assists. I don't think people really understand how crazy it is to do that as a rookie in your first year. But that's another episode. Shout out to Caitlin, bro. The plays she was making, even with all that, was crazy. But people were so focused on the logo threes and the high 23-point attempts per game, which I get. It was so much fun to watch. But I always said she could be one of the best point guards to ever play in the WNBA. Has the coverage been perfect? Of course not. There are still snubs, double standards, and plenty of voices more eager to criticize than to praise. The same media outlets that used to question her every move are now writing about her leadership, work ethic, and impact. The same players who used to be skeptical are starting to give her real credit, not just saying she's good, but saying she's changing the game. And that brings us to the moment that sealed the deal. Caitlin Clark's homecoming. Fans lined the streets for hours getting ready at Carver Hawkeye Arena, and there were watch parties all over Iowa City. Everyone wants to see Iowa's favorite daughter, Caitlin Clark, come home. 3 million people watched that exhibition game on TV, and it wasn't just because the arena was packed, it was because of the comparison. That number didn't just lead the WNBA preseason, it also beat out games from other professional leagues. But it wasn't just the people watching at home, it was what Caitlin did when she knew they were watching. She didn't shy away from the attention, she thrived on it. She knew exactly what the viewers came to see. Possessions of the day for Brazil, here's Clark, wow, Duke from beyond the logo. And Caitlin ran up court and made a three-pointer from behind the basket. When she broke the NCAA scoring record, it wasn't just a shot, it was a statement. And the fans went crazy because this wasn't just about basketball anymore. It was about entertainment. It was storytelling theater. It was a full-circle moment executed with perfect timing. Caitlin knew where she was, what it meant, and how to give the audience a moment they would never forget. I think one of the things I love most about Caitlin is how she understands the moment and is willing to do what she knows everyone wants her to do. Oh, no, I know what you want. Come here, and I'm going to give it to you. I loved it so much. I love it when athletes say, bring the cameras right over here. Well, I couldn't agree more. And speaking of giving fans what they want, even the Brazil, it was impossible for the national team to contain their excitement after the exhibition game. They didn't just shake hands and leave, they surrounded Caitlin, laughing and posing for selfies as if they had just met Michael Jordan, which is exactly what they saw her as. It's clear that she is having her Michael Jordan moment right now. 3 million people watched, and after the final buzzer, the other players rushed her for autographs. We live in a world of sound bites and snapshots where impression is often stronger than proof, and now the visual confirmed what everyone already knew the numbers. Everyone saw the broadcast schedule, the upgrades to the venue, the merch sales, and the media buzz. But this was different. This was the moment when the illusion that this was about anyone else, Loaf 1, broke. 3 million people watched it on ESPN1. 3 million people watched this preseason game. That's more than watched game 1 of last year's WNBA playoffs. And no MLB spring training game has had that many viewers in the last 15 years. No NBA preseason game has had that many viewers in the last 7 years. The closest preseason game to that number was 20 years ago when 912,000 people watched the Yankees play the Phillies. There were 3 million people watching Caitlin Clark, and that changed the game. Should she be the favorite to win MVP? Yes, I think so. When you talk about Caitlin Clark, she averaged 19 points and 8 assists last season. I love that you're counting for me, but she had an even better finish to the season after the All-Star break. She lit it up. What did she average? 12 assists during that time. Now that she has more players around her, There's a balance, but she's a generational talent. No league is ever just about one player. But in this case, Caitlin brought tens of millions of new viewers to the W, and there's no denying that impact, not just in the WNBA, but in the world of sports as a whole. Adam and I talk all the time about how she's the most popular athlete in America. Players, media analysts, and fans are all much more pro Caitlin Clark than they were just a few weeks ago. This is because of what happened in the preseason, the sellouts, the ratings, and the weight she brought to every building. People are trying to make history this season after a bit of a strange start, so the story goes that they're waiting for her to produce so that they can start the offseason. When it all comes together, Caitlin Clark wasn't just riding the wave of fame, she was also working harder than everyone else. While most players were taking it easy during the offseason, Caitlin was jet-setting between high-profile events like speaking engagements, NFL owner meetings, the Masters, and still going to the gym at 8 a.m. every time the next morning, no matter what. It's not just discipline, it's legendary behavior right out of Kobe Bryant's playbook. Whether you call it a Mamba mentality or a mama mentality, there's no doubt that Caitlin Clark has it. Caitlin Clark is bigger, stronger, and ready to dominate. Her body is built for the pro grind. Her decision-making is sharper, and her confidence in the spotlight has only grown. She's no longer just getting used to the WNBA. She's getting ready to take it over, and the haters are trying to get ahead of the story by praising her, while others are acknowledging the truth by remaining silent. The grief of not being the star is what this is all about, and it affects each player differently. Some get angry, others keep quiet, and some, like Sophie Cunningham, have been embracing it from the start. But no matter how it looks, the moment has arrived. The proof is everywhere. The magnitude is overwhelming. That preseason game in Iowa wasn't just hype. It was a return of the Caitlin Clark effect, and this time it's going to be bigger than ever. If you made it this far, please drop a trophy in the comments. Thanks for watching.